this one. Awesome. Okay. Well, welcome all of you. We are super excited. Thank you for ending your day with an out of this world presentation. I will go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Sarah Daughters-Katz, and I am a clerkship director at Duke. And then I'll let my two other co-presenters introduce themselves as well.
Hi, I'm Christine Kim. I'm from the University of California, Irvine. I am a co-clerkship director, so I have a co-conspirator with me all the time.
And I'm Jill Sutton. I'm at East Carolina University in Greenville, North Carolina, and I am the clerkship director as well. And again, go to menti.com at www.menti.com and enter that code you see there, 23295061, and you will be able to interact with this exciting talk.
We definitely want you to join us, so
yes,
don't fall asleep.
Okay. So we have, as presenters, we have nothing to disclose, no financial conflicts, although I think all three of us would like to disclose that we are, as we said, all clerkship directors. And as with all things med ed, love the idea of collaboration. And so we have some really exciting, fun, creative collaborations to share about how we are hacking time and space. But we also feel like some of these probably came from prior meetings. And so hopefully this will be interactive and you all will share as well. And I'll turn it over to Christine.
I'm going to go through our learning objectives for today. First is to discuss solutions for optimizing existing protected time, quotes in quotes. 2, review ubiquitous but untapped resources which can be useful to save time and improve the student experience on the clerkship. And 3, share strategies for developing learner and trainee experiences that enhance their personal growth while enhancing your clerkship.
So with that, down on your Mentimeter, go ahead and fill it out. What is your role in the, sorry, Christine, I stole your line.
So what is your role? We have clerkship directors, assistant clerkship directors, residency directors, assistant residency director, teaching faculty, chair, vice chair of education, other. Ooh. Oh, look at us. All grouped up.
Yeah.
I'm so curious what other is.
Yeah. Someone want to come out of the anonymous shadows?
Is it Bonnie? No. APGO queen.
Put it in the chat or turn on your mic and tell us who you are if you want to. Ooh,
yay!
Clerkship coordinator extraordinaire. Fantastic. Welcome. Welcome. Okay, so I'm going to take on this one. What are your biggest challenges? This is a free text option. Following in your Mentimeter, what are your biggest challenges? You can enter up to 3 answers, and this is going to create a word cloud. So let's start to see what we have. And this particular word cloud, if a word is used by more than one of us, it's going to get bigger and bigger. So I'm telling you, time is not ubiquitous around here. All of us are having struggles with time and finding time to do the work that we all need to effectively run our clerkships. Urgency outside, protected. Evolving campus. So it sounds like there's change happening there. Money. I get you. Resources. The lack of protected time. Ooh, disinterested learners. I've seen that before. And help with technology, adapting to the changing times. Wow, you guys are getting in there. Feedback, student integration. Well, we hope that we can help you today with some solutions for these challenges. I think actually we all share. Would you agree, Sarah, Christine?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. I don't know that we're going to solve all of the clerkship problems, but hopefully we're going to make some of these better.
Yes.
So with this, what we want to do is break you out into 2 breakout rooms of 3 to 4 each. Introduce yourselves. Because if we were in person, we'd be sitting at tables and we'd all introduce ourselves. And then think about, what are your biggest challenges and kind of share them more kind of in a small group format.
We're going to spend like 4 minutes in this small group, then we'll bring you back.
And we are taking off.
Hopefully we can work on getting us all some solutions to those challenges. We had a lot of challenges in our group. Do we want to take a moment to share some of those challenges? Yeah. You can share them in the chat, or if anybody wants to be brave and unmute their mic, maybe we can group source some answers to these challenges we're all facing. I'm not seeing anything in the chat, Sarah.
No, keep going. Okay.
Keep going.
We're gonna answer your challenges without us even knowing them.
All right. So how many individuals are on your clerkship leadership team?
Back to your mentee. Ooh. So we have some teams that are robust. Some that have 4 members of the team, some with 3, some with 2. So a wide variety of size of team and who you can tap on internally to like work out these challenges that pop up. I'm just curious, do any of you have a coordinator that you share with another like program in your department? Like, is your coordinator also the residency coordinator or also a fellowship coordinator? Mm-mm. No, mine is just a clerkship director.
At my program before I became clerkship director, the clerkship coordinator was also the residency coordinator. And then that posed a lot of challenges. And yes. And then actually my new clerkship coordinator, who just joined us from another program, said that at the other program, she was clerkship coordinator and also the Urogyn division coordinator. But currently she's just the clerkship coordinator.
Because at my school of medicine, we are unique in that our clerkship coordinator is our own, but a lot of the other clerkship coordinators belong to like 3 different other clerkships. Like they'll do internal medicine, neurology, or psych, and I'm like,
right.
Yeah, my clerkship coordinator has like 0.2 that goes to, I think, being someone's admin, and then 0.2 that goes to the residency, and the rest is for me. So I'm just curious if others have that as well. Yeah. And I know that Renata is big in clerkship coordinator world, and she shared in the chat that in her program, she has just OB-GYN, but it's not uncommon to have multiple other clerkships that you also serve, or maybe even other roles within the department. So
I can't even imagine how challenging that must be, since
you're sharing.
Yeah.
Okay. I know.
Okay.
All right.
So we want to know, how much paid protected time does your CD or do you have for your role?
Yay, someone's in my bubble.
You're not alone.
I'm not alone. Oh no, someone's bubble is
Oh boy.
Yes.
So we have a wide variety of answers there, Sarah.
Yeah. So I have 40%, but I also within my role for my 40% also do PA students, NP students, and all of the fourth year advising and resident obstetric education in my 40%. So I have the time, but it doesn't all go to the clerkship.
For me, I would say I had like 0.3%, but it's a flat stipend from the School of Medicine. And so when I got my raise, it covered a lot less. And so which was good in that I had recruited a co-clerkship director. And so that has really helped since she's a starting faculty. And so it covers more of her time. And I think it's more worthwhile in her development as a clerkship director.
Okay.
Christine, I am also a co. And so how do you and your co-director split the 30%?
Yes. So we split it evenly.
That's what we do too.
So, but because she's a new faculty, it covers more of percentage wise of her clinical activity than myself. But since I'm a OB hospitalist, like there are moments I have like a little bit of downtime, like when I'm doing overnight call.
Right, because you're not busy. Oh man.
Not busy. The other interesting thing I just want to bring up with this slide that I think is really important, and Jill has worked on some of these guidelines so she can speak to this, is there's this very cool group called the Alliance of Clinical Educators, which is a whole team of very smart people that think about med ed. And they actually say that a clerkship director should have 50% protected time, which as you can see here, none of us have. And so again, more need for kind of being creative about how we use our time. But I don't know, Jill, if you have anything you want to say from that perspective.
I want you to know that this article has been posted in Whova many times, but it's the brand new Alliance for Clinical Education's newest publication called Responsibilities of and for Clerkship Directors 2.0. I just messed up the title, but it talks about how we what our role is and how important it is, and that we should have the ability to take this document to our chair or to hospital or medical school leadership to advocate for ourselves. It lives up in that document, and we're going to share it in our sources at the end. So you'll have this document if you need it to advocate for yourself, so you can get what you need.
I had actually taken one of the earlier versions of this document because it has recommended 50% for a long time. And I took it to my chair and he advocated on my behalf to the School of Medicine, and the funding actually got doubled. So it was a huge improvement. Initially, my chair made up part of the difference, and then he gave it to the School of Medicine to make up the difference.
Awesome. So. Yeah, none of us put 50% on this particular slide.
So moving on, Jill.
Yeah. So how many hours per week do you spend on your clerkship? And that could be within lectures or administrating or evaluating or assessments or grading, all of it. How many hours per week on average? We know some weeks are heavier than others. On average, how many hours per week? Again, we're getting a variety of types of answers, but all sort of kind of leaning towards that middle answer choice of 11 to 15 hours of time dedicated to the effective running of your clerkship. It's a lot of time that you are, that you should be compensated for.
And it's hard to count the intangibles, right? Like, you're laying down in bed at night and you unfortunately pick up your email and it's like, look at this. And then it's like student freaking out about X, or you're like trying to drop your kid off at school and you get a ping from your, coordinator that's like, oh, or resident, my student is, my student passed out. So you have to go visit them in the ER because they fainted in the OR and then they had to go to the ED, right? So like, it doesn't really include those intangibles either. So we want to stop talking about the scope of the issue and get down to the nitty gritty, which is ideas to solve it. And so again, we're going to break you out into 2 small group sessions, and we want you to answer the questions. What resources do you use in your clerkship that you feel like you could share with others? What do you use them for? And then if you need to come up with something new, if you're evolving your clerkship, how do you create content, or how do you find content for clerkship? And we will put these, I will magically make these go into the breakout rooms too, so you can remember the questions.
Sorry, I made the breakout room incorrectly. Let me redo that. I put everybody in one room.
That sounds fun. Let's do it.
And what do we say, 10 minutes for this one?
Yeah.
Oh no, 8 minutes.
Yeah,
For
8
this
minutes. Yep.
Welcome back to our big group. We just kind of wanted to share a little bit about some of the top 3 resources that we utilize a lot. The first one is the Flame website. It's at flame.rocks. The site was born here at UCI. The father of this baby is Dr. John Steller, who was a UCI undergrad, UCI medical student, UCI resident, did MFM fellowship in Colorado, and is now a faculty here with us at UCI. So he is almost a lifer. So it is 5-minute lectures accelerating medical education. It goes right through the APGO learning objectives. And so this is built to the level of the clerkship. It was initially made to help residents teach medical students. So it'll just go really briefly, like maybe 10 PowerPoint slides. And a lot of times residents might feel a little bit intimidated teaching medical students because maybe they forgot some of the statistics or some of the diagnostic criteria. And so this is there to help prompt them. But this is also really great for medical students to teach each other. And, we tell them, like, oh, look it up on Flame really quick before you go see that consult or something. And so it's really fast and easy, high yield. Another really great resource is MedEd Portal. This is open access journal of teaching and learning resources. It is hosted by the AAMC. So one of the best parts that I have found is that it has the whole teaching toolkit with it. So it'll give you the cases, the instructions that they gave their learners, the instructions that they gave their faculty. So the toolkits are really cool. And even sometimes I have changed like an internal medicine case into an OB-GYN case that use the same structure. And then of course, APGO has tons and tons of resources. I felt like initially they would have all these resources that I would just incidentally find. I'm like, why did I not know this was there? But joining the listserv, like the clerkship director listserv, has been super helpful in disseminating like the updates out to everyone. And so make sure you join that.
Yes, fantastic.
There is no fee for Flame.rocks. It's all for free.
Yeah. The other thing I want to say about MedEd Portal is before you add new content, like if you're like, oh, I want an OSCE about prenatal care, I want an OSCE about dyspareunia, like don't make it. See if you can find it on MedEd Portal. I want to add this TBL to my clerkship. Like there's so much content there that before you recreate anything, there's probably something you can repurpose on MedEd Portal. The Michigan group had published a curriculum of practice pages for 4th years for the boot camp. And during the pandemic, we used their curriculum and we rolled it out with our clerkship students to try to give them something that was quasi-clinical. So we took all these practice pages that existed and there's like a grading rubric, all the things, and we just recreated it for our second years, and they love it because they actually get to like think like a doctor. Sorry, our second years are our clinical clerkship students. But so there's so much there that I don't recreate anything. I don't make anything new until I search both Flame and MedEd portal to see if I can use it there.
Yes.
Okay, we want you to drop your knowledge in the Mentimeter. Share your best practices. What are you using? What are you finding? How are you hacking it? Drop your knowledge.
Like, what did you guys talk about in your small groups? This is the place to drop it in your Menti.
Oh yeah. Okay, so many good ones coming over. Someone wrote weekly check-ins. Talk to us about that. Share with that one. Yeah.
Hi. So this is weekly check-ins with the medical students to see if they're on track, because even though we had mid-cycle check-ins and reviews and feedback, the more timely it is, the better it is. So we encourage the chief residents or the resident team to provide feedback at the end of the clerkship week. I mean, the rotation week. And then the clerkship directors and the chair have a virtual meeting with the students for about 15 minutes just to make sure everything's on track. It's still new, but it seems to be helpful. We can sort of redirect things if we're aware of them in a timely fashion, instead of hearing about it at the end of the rotation when we can't really do much about it.
That's fantastic. You get feedback real time, much faster than
Great. Your students must really appreciate that.
For sure.
I think so. I mean, it is a commitment on their end to join the meeting on Fridays, but I think they are appreciative, and we are to hear their feedback, you know, that this is their time to be heard.
For sure. Thank you, Teresa.
Anyone else want to share their best practices, their kind of clerkship hacks? Yes, Jill, go.
So we have this little red book that the students have in their pocket, and in the back of the red book, they have learning objectives that they have to do mini didactics with the residents or faculty to be signed off, but they can also do them with the fourth years. It's student driven, the students lead the discussion. They've process the topic, and then they present it to that faculty or resident, and then the resident or faculty fill in the blanks, and then it takes about 5 or 10 minutes, and they have to get all of them done but by the end of the clerkship, but 18 done in this fashion. And so that can be a burden for 15 or 16 students to get that many signed off. And it's also a burden on the residents and faculty at times, although they do it. Now the M4s are like lining up to do it, and they want to do it by WebEx on sometimes Wednesday afternoon didactics. There's certain topics that don't always like line up with like M3 learner level need. And so we set up like a WebEx, and then the students, the M4s actually teach the M3s or fill in the gaps for the M3s, and they can knock out 6 or 7 learning topics in an hour WebEx. Students are happy, the M4s are practicing resident as teacher, and it's a win-win for everyone. So that's been a real well received, and since the pandemic too.
Jill, do your MS4s like put that on their CV at all as sort of like any kind of, they add that to their CV?
Great idea. Sarah. They should. I don't know if they will, they have or will. I also come to my sim lab. I invite anybody want to come be the suturing knot tying station. And then they also sort of have this off the cuff talk about applying to residency and what's it like to be an M4. But yeah, they should put that in as something on their CV.
One other resource that my students are really enjoying is there's many podcasts out there designed towards medical students. And so, a lot of students learn differently now. They don't all want to read textbooks. In fact, most of them don't want to read a textbook. And so we've sort of mapped almost all of the APGO objectives, not only to the APGO topic videos, which are awesome if you aren't using those or encouraging your students with those, but also to various different podcasts from reputable sources. And so that way, when the students are in transit or when they're exercising or when they're just sort of vegging, they can take in knowledge in a different way and find that really helpful. And we have some that are linked to the Creogs over coffee. Last year during the the onset of the pandemic, UCSF put out this remote didactic series that was really geared towards residents, but it has some good content for the learner that wants to dive deeper. And so we linked to that as well.
I think we have a question in the chat, and I don't know if we've answered it yet. Is there a fee for flame rocks? And that's a question from Teresa.
It's for free. It's free.
Free. And it's
Thank
also
you.
like a starting point where you can you start with this PowerPoint, but you can build from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing is that you can have students help build content. And if we post it, then they can add it to their CV.
Ooh, yes. Everybody
Is that
wins.
that list of future lectures I see at the bottom?
Yes.
So people could just contact you guys and sign up to do one?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Ooh,
Very cool.
that's very cool. I did not.
And then,
And
Sarah,
then Access Medicine and Access OB-GYN. What are those?
Oh, that's for me. A librarian directed me to this website, and it's you can access all the textbooks like Williams online, cover to cover. Yes, and a lot of other textbooks, and then they have case studies with questions and then an explanation, and they even have a Williams quiz. It's random questions from Williams study guide that pop up, and the students could answer them. So it's a great resource. I don't think our students really tap into it enough. I keep trying to promote it. I don't know if there's a fee associated with it. I don't think it cost me anything, but I don't know if it was an organizational account or not.
Yeah.
But I use the resource for content.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's from the publisher of McGraw-Hill.
Yes.
And
That's really
I think our organization also has a subscription for that. It's really great.
Ours is too. Yeah. All right. So
Yeah, turn it over to Jill.
who helps you run your clerkship? Select all that apply. Ooh, what a wide variety of helpers we have.
I love watching the balls go places.
I think that's
Also one of my favorite features of
so far we have 8 people who have responded from the group. So some of us, have our associate or assistant clerkship directors, other faculty within the department, advanced practice practitioners, residents, fellows, and near peer student mentors. Everybody has all different kinds of helpers at their institutions. That's fantastic. Lots of resources to tap into.
So one thing that we felt like was all of us really leaned heavily on was delegation. And so we want, again, break you out one last time, maybe just for 4 or 5 minutes. And we want you to share with each other, who do you recruit? How do you get them to actually help you? And what do you have them do? Because I think this is really the biggest saver of time and space. There's a lot of cool stuff out there, but how you deploy it so that you aren't the one deploying it, but someone else is helping you, really, I think for a lot of us makes a huge difference. So Christine will put us into groups one last time.
And rocketing off.
Okay, welcome back. So just like we did last time, please, in your Menti meter, throw your large group best practices in the chat. This is where your life is going to get better.
Yeah, how do we delegate? Who do we send the work to? Yes. Oh, this is fantastic.
Okay, so I love these. Okay. Find funds to pay residents to grade SOAP notes. Okay, perfect. Did you find them or you need to find them?
I found it. I was telling my group, our school runs like a practice step 2 CS every spring. Unclear what's going to happen to it in the future, but they're still doing it. And there was an OB-GYN case, and then the school would just hand us, the OB-GYN clerkship, like all 165 SOAP notes, and it was killer. And after a couple years of despising it, somehow it came up that the school was willing to pay residents to grade the notes. They wouldn't pay the faculty extra, but they would pay trainees. And they pay them like something silly, like $15 an hour or something, but the trainees jump at it, the residents and fellows, and I no longer have to do it.
Amazing.
Holly, for the win. That's fantastic.
Well, if I'm in my win, I feel so stupid that I never asked. I was doing it myself for a few years.
Oh, those are so painful.
Yes, those are painful.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have similar CPX exams.
Yeah. And I don't even bribe my residents. I just said, like, is anyone interested in medical education and want to get more involved? And I had a group that, like, I have a core group that volunteers and then they train each other to evaluate my CPXs. I wish we had money. They probably would do it more if we have money, but it goes on their CV, which is nice. A lot of them want to stay in academic medicine. So they, like, that's helpful CV building for them.
Oh, getting to go to APGO is a prize. Who does that? That's so cool.
So we're doing that for I feel like I'm talking a lot, but we're doing this for the first time, but I got the idea from APGO a couple years ago from another program. So we got the chair to pilot it, and so the idea is we will announce the award this spring for a end of the year PGY2, and then the award is they get to go to APGO in their third year funded. And so the idea is to, like, capture them young and then build them up in PGY3 year, and then they're still fourth year. Like, none of them want to go to APGO as their chief conference because they're all, like, applying to fellowships.
Right.
And so, like, SMFM or OGS or whatever will be their chief conference. But this is a way to capture them from the med ed side.
That's so cool.
I also found I'm a generalist, and we get a lot of outside, fellows from other institutions that I never interact with clinically, so I don't know them. And I have also found that tapping them to help with things like the SOAP notes or help teach Foley, they are very eager to like have something on their CV, and it's a resource that I don't always, I don't work with the fellows, so I have to think to reach out to them, but they're so eager to help.
And they are super happy to give talks in my boot camp too. So I have a lot of fellows that help with my boot camp sims and my boot camp talks, especially. They really like that piece. Actually, I have a fellow who helps with my pelvic exam session too.
Yeah. And who said caffeine isn't effective? Someone's using coffee. I love it. Who's that lucky person bribing with coffee?
That's me. Anytime there's a new faculty, I'm like, hey, want to grab some coffee?
Nice.
And then I basically gauge their interest or talk about what potential topic they want to lecture on for the clerkship.
This is awesome.
And I remind them, like, oh, this is part of your bonus. It can be included in that criteria to fulfill get some extra money.
Oh, I love it. Oh my gosh.
So actually, I don't know if the rest of you kind of feel bad recruiting residents. I actually, when Jill and Sarah, we decided to do this talk, I just sent out an email and I was like, hey, any residents interested in doing a review session each rotation? Like you guys can alternate. And there was like this core group of like 7 residents who volunteered that they would be interested. And we developed like this standardized Google Jeopardy kind of slide set. And they just presented, like they all have it access to it because it's a resident account. And they presented the last Friday before the shelf exam. And I personally think our scores have kind of gone up. So.
Okay.
Ooh.
I just put in the chat a really fun game show website. So if you like, Jeopardy is awesome. I haven't really played around with this. I just got access to this, but it has Family Feud, it has Battleship, they're all, I think, PowerPoint based, so not super challenging. But again, I can't vet it, but okay, Jill, take us home with what APGO has.
So there's some out of this world APGO resources, and we've linked some of them right here for you, and we will have them in our toolkit that you're about to see in just a moment. The Effective Preceptor series PDFs and companion videos, they're awesome. Case-based curriculum for Milestone 1, the Effective Student Advising series, the Basic Clinical Science curriculum, Basic Science videos and teaching scripts, the Prep for Res Knowledge Tool assessment. And then the medical student educational objectives have those teaching cases. They have the teaching cases that are for the student facing, and then they have the teaching cases for any APGO member under member resources that has it all answered and all filled out. And they were recently updated this past summer. So they're even more hip and up to date with respect to health system science, as well as integrating more inclusive language, which is really important. Speaking of health system science, I have to throw this out. I haven't put it on the slide, but we're going to put it up in the toolkit shortly. There's a whole health system science curriculum. And so you know that this has been a big move to getting health system sciences embedded throughout your medical school training. And for us as educators, not all of us have gotten that education ourselves. So why not use what has been curated and developed by APGO? And then finally, UIs. If your department has a APGO membership, you also have UIs subscriptions for your learners, which is fantastic. It is questions that are grouped by topic and lined up with the medical student learning objectives. So versus, many students use QBank and those are all blended questions all mixed up. These questions are by topic. So if they learn about a topic, they can go then test and assess themselves on that topic. Fantastic resource that if you have a departmental membership, you have access for your students.
I just noticed on APGO, they have a curriculum builder. So you put in the topic and it'll find the resources within APGO.
Yes.
For you. So
this is Bonnie. It's not actually included with the department membership, Jill. It is a separate subscription. It's a lower rate if you have a department membership.
Oh, is that for the UIs?
Yes.
Oh, good. Well, my department's paying whatever that money is.
It's well worth it.
Yes. Okay. And then Christine, will you tell us about this toolkit?
Yeah, so all the list of resources that we use, that we discussed today, that we've researched and we also added the ACE article in there, will be in under this QR code. I'm also adding a link for people who maybe their phone isn't detecting the QR code well. And for the next, give me like maybe 2 days and I'll add the resources that we put in our Menti that other people have suggested. Yes, Kahoots is also a great gaming site. We also use Factile. We have that does like a Jeopardy, and it does Jeopardy as well as like a quiz like Kahoots.
And I've built with a very inexpensive Jeopardy Labs, $10, like, or $20 for a lifetime membership to Jeopardy Labs, and I can build and share and
Ooh.
borrow already built Jeopardy boards. So, all right.
Yeah,
So-
let's open it up. Anyone have any other questions or want to tell us about the hacks that you guys are zooming off with?
What are you going to blast off with today?
If you're feeling mentee inspired, throw it in. Or it's $5.25 and you're free.
Let's see if I can get it in there. We hope that you enjoyed your time with us today. Yes, coffee bribes, Jeopardy Labs. Maybe you're going to take that QR code and check out all the cool resources we have linked for you. There's also the link in the chat if you couldn't get there with the QR code. Kahoot is awesome.
Teresa, we will add the link in the toolkit to the ACE article as well.
Yeah, it's there. It's there. The article's there. Yep. You can advocate for yourselves to get the time to effectively lead your clerkship the way we should. You guys are fantastic for spending your afternoon with us. We hope you will connect with us if you have any further questions. Go ahead and can we show that one last slide so that they can have our contacts just in case? Reach out.
Yes. Perfect. Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.